It's a frightening thought. A community's entire fire department going up in smoke, basically. That's the threat recently faced by residents in Springer when their last firefighter, who also happened to be the fire chief, suddenly resigned. According to a KRQE report by Liz A. Mitri, the town is scrambling to replace that chief and recruit new volunteer firefighters, but the challenge is daunting, Crystal. Springer is not the only small community, when you think about it, that relies on volunteer firefighters. Those shortages are more than just bodies. You know, Springer's been warned about this. It's a difficulty, but then the chief up and quits.
Yes.
If you were the mayor, I forgot his name, Mo or Bo, I'll get it in here in a second, but if you were the mayor, what do you do in those situations where the fire chief just suddenly up and quits? You've got all this bad paperwork behind you about how bad your
Without
system
cursing,
is.
I will say you got to get your butt to work right away. There's no doubt about that. So I saw the story. I think Liz A. did a really fantastic job.
Yes, they did.
You know, the images of Springer, New Mexico being a quiet town and no firefighter, it's very common across the state. Valencia County has a major shortage.
Right.
And so I look to, you know, what do we know as firefighters and what do they know as firefighters? Rural communities actually consider, you know, volunteer firefighter organizations as almost like your water cooler. It's your camaraderie. It keeps you busy. We were talking about, you know, staying active.
Right.
And a lot of the people forget that, you know, being a volunteer firefighter, it does contribute, you know, several years to your PERA, to your PERA. It also gets you out of the house, and obviously you do something to mentally challenge yourself. Sometimes people forget the amount of time that it actually takes to be a volunteer firefighter and the amount of trainings, which is why Springer lost so much, or the fire marshal, the state fire marshal, saw that, you know, Springer has 25 violations in their department because of lack of training, lack of operations, et cetera. So yes, the burden is back on the mayor to find some type of emergency funding to help correct those issues. There was even something in Valencia County where the firefighters, the volunteer firefighters, half of their force of firefighters was volunteer. I mean, their equipment went bad during a brush fire at home, so they're underfunded.
Yep.
Volunteer firefighters see this as like their form of physical Kiwanis Club, right? Because it has to be mission driven.
Well said.
It has to be operationally sound, and they also have to serve their community. So there's just a lot of challenges around volunteer firefighters in terms of time. People are busy. People are traveling more. People are getting older, and younger people are not seeing quite the benefit of becoming a volunteer firefighter. They're sometimes unpaid, and they're asked to do a training during their jobs, so they'll lose money from taking the time off and then having to do a training that's ultimately free for them. You know, it has to go back to what we think about in terms of running a volunteer organization, whether it be a Kiwanis, a fraternity, whatever it is. We have to think about how do we sell people on the concept of volunteering based off of the mission, vision, and values of the organization. And firefighters don't see it that way. They see it as I have to make sure that my community's safe in case there's a fire that happens. So so to answer your question, the mayor of Springer just has to start working on it. And
you know,
working on it now.
poor Mayor Lopez, Bo Lopez, I couldn't quite come up with his name there, but interesting points there. I want you to pick up on, Sophie, if you could. I'm wondering if what Crystal is describing here falls under the idea that Springer only gets about $60,000 from the state to help with their firefighting efforts. I hear a whole lot more than that in what Crystal just described for need. A whole lot more than $60,000. Are these folks just plain underfunded from the state?
They're underfunded, but I think it's also worth noting that for a community like Springer, the estimate is that they need 12, not one volunteer firefighter.
That's
and
right.
So the town must have known leading up till now that they didn't have enough volunteer firefighters to have one, and now he's gone. It just sort of feels like, wow, this is late to be hearing about this. This is late to be.
It wasn't like a mass walkout where they all left at once.
And then you think it's a volunteer position, and they need 12 to cover the 24/7. That's a huge commitment on the part of each of those people. I will say too, it's not just the volunteer firefighters that are disappearing in rural New Mexico and rural America. It's ambulance drivers. It's the full range of emergency services that it's extraordinarily difficult to maintain those in our rural communities. At the same time that we know populations are shrinking in rural communities, as we heard, they're aging. There comes a point at which the people just are not there to perform these functions. And certainly when the facilities, the equipment, everything is underfunded, and you are doing this out of altruism, not because it's a
I think we take that word volunteer as a big bucket, Justine. We throw a lot of things in it, and that probably should be professionalized a little bit instead of just volunteer. So I asked the same question as before, though. Is it a money issue here? 60 grand's not going to get you down the road too far.
I mean, across the board in terms of emergency services, it's a money issue. It's a money issue at the correctional facility there, where the same people, and I should preface this by saying I have a case up there, but the same people who are alleged to be molesting inmates are still employed. It's a small community, and but as far as what struck me about this story is the mayor's reticence to be honest about what's going on is what comes through.
He's not much to say, has he?
And what I wonder is, we've got the fire fund, we've got the fire marshal. It's easy for these folks to sit in Santa Fe with green eye shades on and say, 10 violations, 12 violations, 20 violations. What's the state going to do? Okay, this is a case where maybe government can do something to help this community. And it's ironic that violations stack up to the point where we say we're cutting your funding.
Right.
Well, this is a community that should be at the top of the list.
Thank you.
They need help more than anybody. And so this is a total failure of government at every level. And so rather than pointing fingers, now it's time for somebody to come in there and talk about how we build this department. And certainly they need funding.
Absolutely.
You know, yes, they have failed, and it's been an ongoing process, and the state has known about it, and the community has known about it. So somebody needs to step up now and protect the community.
That's right. You know, Serge, I'm wondering if there's an opportunity here as well. I mean, Springer, if we think about just our 30,000-foot map of that part of the state, is there a possibility that the state could somehow corral communities in that region to somehow work together and fill in some of these gaps, even given some of the distance issues Sophie mentioned a little bit earlier? Just on the idea of something creative, something different, something, instead of having this town manage its own situation here, which it clearly can't do at this point. Is there a possibility of that kind of thing?
I mean, I think it's, and without knowing all the specifics, it's a little bit unfair to say this is Springer's issue, right? This is happening. Rural cities, rural towns all over the country are suffering. People are leaving, they're getting older. One volunteer firefighter joked that, kids today, they just don't seem to want to run into burning buildings. Millennials.
We laugh, but, exactly.
But I think it is the problem of us trying to rely on an outdated model that's just not going to work anymore in rural America or rural New Mexico, and say this should be at the top of our list of funding and other sorts of intervention. And, and sure, a consortium of communities, right? But we also will say, and we'll also give you some resources to make
Thank you. Exactly.
I'm going to add to Serge's comment. Of course, Crystal had to call some of her friends from rural New Mexico.
Love it.
Like, what the heck is going on down there? And, one of the perspectives that we didn't think about that might not actually be the solve all, or what we can't really see in the news that Lizzie just really can't find is remember, I go back to the metaphor of the water cooler, right? So in Roswell, New Mexico, they actually have two versions of a volunteer firefighter because one group gets along better with each other than the other. And so I know it seems very small town New Mexico, but especially after living there for quite a while, we have to remember, it's the social status, right? Or it's the social norm. So with volunteer firefighters, it's something funding can't resolve is how well are they using this as a sake of camaraderie? How well are they using it as a sake for their social aspects of gratification of doing something good for the community? No dollar amount can help gather people together. It's good leadership. So again, not only going back to government, the mayor of Springer, based off of body language, based off of the way that Lizzie was saying that, based off of the big PR faux pas of no comment, it very much shows that there's a lack of leadership in terms of empowering their citizens to volunteer, and a lack of initiative to actually go to the state of New Mexico and say, we have an emergency, we need help.
This is New Orleans during Katrina. This is a failure at every level.
Yeah, that's an excellent analogy, as painful as that is to hear. You're right. But I'm still on this idea of the corralling the region effort here, because I'd throw in, of course, climate change. Do you know what I mean? And the risk of fire. Yeah.
Certainly, we should be very alarmed about the possibility of an increased fire danger throughout the state. Now, is the Springer Fire Department expected to go out and battle blazes, across federal land, across state land, et cetera? That's not their purpose. They may participate. I'm not sure. Well, I say
when called,
I say
probably.
they, but there's no they at this point.
Sure.
But
good point there.
But we have a larger problem around fire.
Yes.
And it seems to me that we're going to need something fairly comprehensive. It reminds me a little bit of that, 25 years ago, I remember reports from insurance companies saying, like, we're really concerned about what was not then called climate change and the effect that's going to have on our bottom line and fire, et cetera, and we'd like to see planning around that. And for the most part, we haven't seen the kind of planning that obviously that we need.
That's right. Let's see what happens out of this. Springer will figure it out. That meeting they had, of course, Lise reported there were some volunteers wanted to sign up. We'll see what happens. So good on those guys. That's all the time we have for this panel. Again, Justine, welcome back. We appreciate that. Congrats on being a mom again. Thanks to all of our panelists for digging in this week and offering their opinions. Appreciate it.